203. We are going to practice multiplying rational numbers some more. So we've practiced with fractions, we've practiced with decimals. You know your integer rules, right? Our integer rules for multiplication. When the signs of our factors are the same, our answer or our product is positive or negative. When they're the same, it's positive. When they're different, our product is negative. So that's where we're starting with here. The rules for integers also apply to positive and negative rational numbers. If you're talking right now, Allison, you shouldn't be. State whether the product of each expression will be positive or negative using your knowledge of multiplying integers. So these signs are different, so our answer is going to be negative. These factors have the same sign, so our answer is going to be positive. These are different, so our answer is going to be negative. And these are the same, so our product's going to be positive. All right, now the only thing we have left to do is start multiplying. We have -3/4 times -7/9. So the first thing they do is they look across the diagonal to divide by common factors. What did they divide by here? 3. So 3 divided by 3 is 1. 9 divided by 3 is 3. Then they multiplied across. What's -1 times -7? Positive 7. So our numerator is 7. Our denominator is 4 times 3, which is 12. So -3/4 times -7/9 is 7/12. This, since we already simplified across here, cannot be simplified. 7 won't go into 12, and there are no other factors of 7. All right, questions so far on page 203? So far, so good. Hopefully. Okay. Page 204. Cruising right along here. This is your check. Try this. The hint is to look across the diagonals and see if you can take any factors out first. That will simplify your problem. This is now page 204, right after 203. Yep. By dividing by common factors. I did it. All right, guys, keep your voices off. People are trying. They deserve to be able to think without your voice in their head. All right. Looking across this diagonal, I have a 7 and a 14. What can I divide both 7 and 14 by? 7. 2 does not go into 7. But I can divide 7 by itself. 7 divided by 7 is what? 1. 14 divided by 7 is 2. Now look across this diagonal. What can I divide these by? 4. 4 divided by 4 is 1. 8 divided by 4 is also 2. Now I'm multiplying. -1 times 1 is -1. 2 times 2 is 4. So be sure you remember our signs are different, so our answer is negative. So -1/4. All right, are you ready to add another step? No. Here's another step. Remember how we change mixed numbers to improper fractions? Yeah. 5 times 3 is what? 15 plus 1 makes 16. That's what they did here. 14 times 1 is plus 1 is 15. That's where they got that here. The denominator stayed the same. The sign stayed the same. Now they looked across the diagonal. What did they divide across this diagonal? Excellent. They divided by 2. 16 divided by 2 is 8. 14 divided by 2 is 7. What did they divide across this diagonal? 5. 15 divided by 5 is 3. 5 divided by 5 is 1. Now they're just taking -8 times 3 and 1 times 7. So what's -8 times 3? Negative times a positive is negative. 1 times 7 is 7. How many groups of 7 can I take out of 24? 3. Is this 3 positive or negative? It's negative. 3 groups would be 21. So what's 24 minus 21? I have 3 remaining. There's a little too much talking. What do you need, Eliza? Hurry up. All right. Try this check. Change your mixed numbers to improper fractions. Turn your voices off. Focus and get busy, please. Change them to improper. Divide across your diagonals. Multiply across the top, multiply across the bottom. Simplify as needed. Guys, imagine being quiet. I'm doing what you're supposed to do. Alright, let's practice again. We're changing these mixed numbers to improper fractions first. Guys, you cannot do anything until these are improper fractions. So 8 times 1 is 8 plus 7 makes 15 over 8. And this is negative, right? What's 5 times 2? 10. 10 plus the 2 on top makes 12, and that is also negative, so 12 fifths. Now, yes. 8 times 1 plus 7. Yep, be careful. There's already 7 and we're adding 8 more because 8 would be a whole. Good question. All right, now let's look across our diagonals. This is really nice because we can simplify so we don't have to multiply these big numbers. What can I divide these by? 5. 15 divided by 5 is 3. Please stop talking. 5 divided by 5 is 1. What can I divide these by? I could divide by 2, but I could also divide by 4. So 12 divided by 4 is 3. 8 divided by 4 is 2. Now I have a negative 3 times a negative 3. So that's going to give me a positive 9. Our signs are the same, so our answer should be positive. 2 times 1 is 2. This is not in its simplest form. How many groups of 2 are in 9? 4 groups would be 8. So how many are left over? 1 more left over. 9 divided by 2 is 4.5, right? So if you put this into your calculator, 9 divided by 2, you would get 4 and how many tenths? 1. No. I don't know. What's half of 10? 5. You would get 4 and 5 tenths. Oh. All right. Now we have to deal with some decimals. So remember when we were adding and subtracting decimals and fractions, we have to change them to like terms. So we have to add decimal to decimal or fraction to fraction. I'm getting a little grumpy having to talk over you ladies. If they are terminating decimals, which means they end, you can do them as decimals or fractions. If they are non-terminating decimals, meaning they repeat over and over and over, like 1/3, you have to do them as fractions. There will be things on the test that you have to do as fractions. So you have to be practicing and know that that is going to be expected of you. So notice they had to change this to a fraction because 2/3 is a repeating decimal. This way they could do either way. They could do it as fractions or as decimals because they were terminating decimals. All right, 206. We're cruising right along here. All right, find 1/3 times negative 2.75. Right is in simplest form. Because the factors are written in different forms. You first need to rewrite them in the same form. So we either have to write them both as fractions or both as decimals. If you put 1 divided by 3 into your calculator, you should notice that it is repeating 0.33333333. So because 1/3 repeats non-zero digits as a decimal, we have to write the second factor as a mixed number. So they rewrote 2 and 75/100ths as 2 and 3/4. Do you remember how to write this as a fraction? Can you please stop? Go. You're not going to be disrespectful in here. Keep your mouth shut. So 2 and 75 hundredths. So I would write it as 2 and 75 over 100, right? We practiced this yesterday. Then I would be dividing the top and the bottom by what? 25. This is also one you should know. You should know 3/4 is 0.75. And this is negative. So this is going to stay negative. Now we have to change it into an improper fraction. So 4 times 2 is 8. 8 plus 3 is 11. So now we have negative 11/4. Now we're multiplying across the top, across the bottom, because we can't simplify across our diagonals. So 1 times negative 11 is negative 11, and 3 times 4 is 12. So the product of this is negative 1/12. Now our check, we could do either way. We could write them as fractions and then multiply, or because this is terminating, we could write them as what? Decimals. So let's practice by writing these as decimals. What is the decimal for 1/4? You can put it into your calculator. 1 divided by 4, or it's one you should know. A quarter is 25 cents or 25 hundredths. 2. We have 64 essentially times 25. 5 times 4 is 20. 5 times 6 is 30, plus 2 is 32. 2 times 4 is 8. 2 times 6 is 12. Then I would add them up. 0, 10, 6, 1. How many places behind the decimal? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So our answer is positive or negative? Positive, because our signs are the same. So 16 hundredths. If I was writing this as a fraction, I could simplify 16 hundredths, right? Divide by 4, divide by 4, 4/25. So if you change them to fractions, your answer would be 4/25, which is equivalent to 16 hundredths. All right, that's our last example. We're going to practice a bit for the remaining of class. You should be able to complete numbers 1 through 9. So give these a good go. We'll catch up where we left off tomorrow as well. So this is page 211. You should definitely be looking at numbers 1 through 9 today. We've done examples. We've been practicing. Remember your signs. Quickly.